So just got back from Jacksonville. Quick flight, wasn't too bad. Watched a few things. Watching this new Korean action flick called No Mercy that I'm digging. It's a series. Played some Scrabble with Shannon Farron. Watched an episode of Slow Horses. Watched a little bit of game film. One of the guys from the staff was watching that, so we were kind of going through some plays from earlier today. And yeah, it's a bummer, man. This is, it's probably, believe it or not, the best time for it to happen. Going into the bye, I'm going to pop this real quick. Decided to go with this, so if you know what it is, great. If you don't, great. DJ and I were talking about this. I think it's probably the worst game. I think it is, since they got here to LA in 2017. That's when I started calling their games, and I was kind of going through the mental Rolodex about, all right, if you marry up expectations versus players on the field, who was available, what you thought was going to happen in the game. The only other one that came into mind was 45-0 Patriots, but that was such a weird year. It was Herbert's rookie year. It was COVID, so there was no one at SoFi Stadium. So, even that was just kind of there were some weird circumstances surrounding that game. A lot of people brought up the 63, 21 loss to the Raiders. And I was like, yeah, but, you kind of had the feeling that Staley was pretty much done. You had Easton Stick out there at quarterback. So that one, I think, no. And I can't think of any others that really jump out at me as, the playoff game against the Texans was, that thing was basically the Chargers are up in the first quarter. They got a chance to kind of maybe get a big turnover there at the end of the first half and jump on them. Who knows what happens if C.J. Stroud doesn't get that weird ball to bounce his way. So, that was even kind of out. So there was Tampa last year, which, of course, was Liam Cohen coordinated, and they just kind of blew the doors off them. And that's sort of what came up. But then you look at that game, and, Herbert still threw 2 touchdown passes. I mean, this was certainly Justin Herbert's worst game as a Charger. There's nothing close, right? 10 for 18, 81 yards and a pick, and a QB rating of 44. There's never been anything close to this. So, this, I'll tell you, man, it's been weird, these 10 a.m. games this year. I mean, every single one of them, right? If you go through it, every one has been an issue, from the Giants, where, you had the 2 interceptions inside the 5, and it was just a game they still should have won and lost 21-18. Miami was pretty hairy that whole game, and a team that has not played well this year, and yet basically you got really fortunate, a great kickoff return from Naheem Miller-Hines, and then obviously a field goal, a great catch by Ladd, an incredible play by Herbert to sneak out with 46 seconds in that game. You got Tennessee, who jumped them 14-3, I think it was, at the start of the game. And now Jacksonville, where just kind of came out flat. And from the first play, you're kind of running play action, boom, sack, you're way behind the sticks. And it was, you just kind of kept falling victim to the same play over and over again. Sort of that between the tackles, counter run that was just gashing them. The numbers are kind of crazy. I don't remember seeing a game like this where if you go through the team stats, talking about, basically, this is what I was saying to someone on the flight home. I was like, think about the Steelers game and how good you felt about that Steelers game, right? How dominating they were on offense with Kamani Vidal, and Justin Herbert had a great game, and Ladd McConkey had a 100-yard game, and what they did on defense, right? 0 for 9 on third down. It was just the one garbage touchdown was all the Steelers had. That Aaron Rodgers looked terrible, couldn't get anything going to any of his receivers. Airmailed the pass to DK that was a pick for Mickens, and you just kind of look at this game, and it's almost the mirror of it, right? Except Chargers are on the wrong side of it, where, Herbert was just off, kind of walked into a couple of those sacks. The one that was credited to Penning, I mean, I don't know what you want Trevor to do on that. He's left tackle. He's trying to redirect his guy out wide, and Justin's just kind of drifting, and he ends up taking that sack, and that's hard to put on an O-line because it's like, I don't know what you want the guy to do. And so it was just a weird game like that. But 30 first downs to 8. And, I mean, you're talking about a Jaguars team that ran 69 plays, and they only had 10 third downs. To put that in, and they converted 5 of them. So they're 50% conversion rate against the number 1 third down defense in the league. But they didn't even need third downs. Like, to put it in context, the Chargers ran 45 plays and had 12 third downs. You're talking about running 24 less plays, and you've got 2 more third downs because they were just gashing them on the ground, 192 yards. The Chargers are now 1-4 when they allow their opponents to rush for over 120. This is much needed, by the way. And so, Bashal Tootin, someone I really liked coming out of the draft. Man, he runs hard. He's a lot. I mean, boy, he laid a lick into Molden. And think about what we were talking about last week, right? Kamani Vidal, Yahweh Black hammers him at the goal line and shoves him back 2 yards when he gets the touchdown. And Tootin did that same thing to Molden when him squared up, looked like it was going to be a nice form tackle, and kaplow. It's a rough go, man. And that's why I think, look, man, this team played the Hall of Fame. I'm not making excuses, but I am. So it's just, you play the Hall of Fame game. So you got 4 preseason games instead of 3. You're traveling to Brazil to open up the season, and then you've got these East Coast trips every other week, these 10 a.m. games, right? So Brazil, then you got a Monday nighter, then you fly to New York, you're home against Washington, fly to Miami, home against Indy, Minnesota, fly to Tennessee for a 10 a.m., home against Pittsburgh, fly to Jacksonville for a 10 a.m. It's just, to me, like if I'm trying to go glass full here, half full, it's just a team that needs the bye, man. It's 11 weeks in. You started your training camp 3 weeks ahead of everybody else. You flew to Brazil. I think they're just beat tired. Honestly, I think they're just beat-ass tired. And they need a break, and I think it's going to do well for them. And that's the thing. Like, when I go through their remaining schedule, they get Vegas after the bye, and that's a game they should win, especially if Amari and Hampton's back and all these guys are healthy. T.R. Tart's been nursing something. You got, Mekhi Becton, who played through that knee, tried to give it a go through all of it, couldn't get it done today. You'll have Trevor Penning with 2 more weeks. I thought he made some nice blocks in the run game. I thought he played okay, and I think he'll be all right out there, So I think you kind of can get through that. Aronde was still dealing with that knee a little bit, man. He had a couple great plays, and I think you can just kind of get settled in, and get ready for this final push. And when I look through that schedule, and it looked like a murderer's row, but now I'm looking at it, and you got Vegas, Philadelphia, again, they're great defensively. The offense can't get anything going. So if you find yourself in a rock fight there, you can maybe sneak out a win on Monday night. And then you get Kansas City. They're 5-5. They have not looked great. So I think that you've already beat them once. So that's, right now scheduled for another 10 a.m. in, Pacific time in Kansas City. And then that would be back-to-back. And that's going to be a tough game because you're on a short week coming off Philly, which is an incredibly physical team. But then you get Dallas, team you should beat in Dallas. But right now that's scheduled for a 10 a.m. You get Houston at home. They should have lost to the Titans today. Not intimidated by them. And look, Denver's defense has played sensational, but that offense is still struggling a little bit. So I just kind of look at it as, can we find 4 wins in there? Can you find, out of those final 6 games, can you go 4-2? And I think the answer is yeah. I think you can win all your home games. I think you can at least win 2 or 3, right? I think you can definitely beat Vegas and Houston at home. And then I think find two others. Dallas on the road, there's three. And then can you win one of three between Philly, Kansas City, and Denver, and you get into the tournament. So to me, that's sort of the way I look at it. And 7-4, it's just I think what's leading people to be so upset, and I get it, man. You guys don't want me, sunshine and unicorns and all that sort of stuff. But to me, it's kind of like they won games that you didn't think they were going to win, and they lost games you didn't think they were going to lose. So that's sort of what makes 7. It's like, man, 7-4, and you got losses to Jacksonville, Washington, New York, and Indy. Like, those were not games you circled and were like, yeah, I think we can get to the bye at 8-3, 7-4, maybe 6-5 if things really don't break right. It's like, no, they beat the Chiefs, they beat the Broncos, they beat Minnesota, they beat Pittsburgh, and they lost to New York and Washington, and like that's and so if you think about it, when you go into the playoffs, is there any team that you're really afraid of? I mean, I think the way Indianapolis ran the ball against them, that's not the best. That's a little bit of a concern. But other than that, you already beat Denver, you already beat Kansas City. Buffalo looks like they could be an issue, but I think if you can get healthy, let's see what this team looks like coming out of the bye. Because to me, that's sort of what, to me, that's a big deal. They just, like DJ made a great point in the post game. He's like, dude, just name one position group that played well. Quarterback, running backs, receivers, tight ends, offensive line, defensive line, linebackers, corners. Like everybody was just kind of off. And it happens, and you flush it and you take your 2 weeks and you get healthy and hopefully you get back and you get a Raider team at SoFi, no traveling, back-to-back home games, before you got the back-to-back road games. And the trips aren't as long, we're at least not going into the Eastern time zone. So kickers played well. Well, they didn't have to punt, so there was that. So you didn't have to worry about any punt return. But yeah, great. And it's funny, that's what I said. I said, well, JK had a good game. JK punted his tail off. He did, and actually the punt coverage team was pretty darn good. So there, look at that. I think needs to kick in, and they take a little while. All right, no, there's no late night gambling in Jacksonville. They have curfew, Alec, and I saw them all in the hotel. I was there. I was in pretty early. Friday night, went to Top Golf, and we were back at midnight, and they were all just kind of hanging out playing cards in the lobby. They don't really go out. So, yeah, I don't think it's that. That's a good point. I could probably just work it backwards. Nahad, Liam owns Minter and Harbaugh. I have no idea why, but the guy out schemes anything they try to counter it. It's the same run play. It's just the same run play. He did it with Tampa last year with Bucky Irving and Rashad White. And for whatever reason, it just kept working, man, over and over. Yeah, last year, 39 carries for 223 yards at 5.7 per. And this one, there weren't really any explosives in the run game. They just kept gashing them for 8 yards, 5 yards, 11 yards, 15 yards. The touchdowns seemed pretty easy. And they just, again, couldn't get anything going in all phases. And it's a team that couldn't sack the quarterback. They had, like, everybody. We were talking to some Jacksonville people before the game. They were like, yeah, dude. I mean, you got Trayvon Walker with 2 sacks, Josh Hines-Allen, who had 17 last year. He's got 2 sacks. Eric Armstead was having an okay year, but, like, they weren't great. Trevor Lawrence was averaging 3 sacks per game, taking 3 sacks a game, was making bad decisions, only had 10 touchdown throws. And, like, today, they just, again, everything worked for them and nothing worked for the Chargers. And I think if you want to, like, do the whole blame game, I don't know if that's, I don't know it's fair to try to find one individual, or it just didn't feel like that. It felt like it was just team-wide, man. Team-wide, this team was just kind of, I don't know, just off. Sort of what it felt like watching that game. Both sides, all facets, just felt like they were off a little bit. Sloppy, just some of the stuff on defense, I think sort of one of the things that I'd love to hear from Coach, and I think the world of Jesse Minter, is just kind of why those light boxes. I think about that second touchdown run for ETN when you got both Tart and Caldwell jogging off the field and Mickens and Troy Dyer jogging on there. I really like that heavy front when you get Tart, it's Tart, Hand, and Caldwell. And then you can play either Owe and Mack or Owe and Thule, or even if you want to put Thule in there, but you're putting Thule in there with Owe and Mack and Hand and Tart, or Tart and Caldwell. I just rather have that front be a little bit heavier, and play up on these receivers. I just thought there was too much cushion, man. If you can press Jacoby Myers and De'Ami Brown and Quentin Morris, and they beat you downfield, and Trevor, is slinging it around, fine. Hey, good job. Way to go. But just kind of giving them all that cushion, and they're getting these easy first downs and getting free releases. I just didn't quite understand it, because you kind of saw that first drive, man, and you still saw skittish Trevor out there where he was just double clutching and didn't want to cut loose on a couple of those, and that's what he's been dealing with. And you just kind of gave him easy looks. And if you can give him his first read and he cuts it loose, he's fine. Like, what you have to do is get him to work progressions and think. And I just didn't feel like, they had that happening. So, unfortunately, that's what we had going on. So, all right. I think that's enough for me, because there's really not much to get to. I think in terms of, I'm scrolling through all you guys. Wow, a lot of comments. So let's get to y'all. I appreciate y'all, by the way. You know that. And shout out. I'll probably do it on the pods this week, because it made my day. When I was doing my lap around the field, I was able to meet a family that drove down from North Carolina, young Sullivan. It was his birthday, and it was cool. I saw Josh Harris come over and autograph his football. Cam Dicker came over, autographed his football. But his mom and dad, Brandon and Christine, just super cool people. Brandon, Army, so thanked him for his service and what he does for us and cowards like me. But he gave me a challenge coin, so that was super cool, and I treasure those. I've got a couple of them from some people in the service that have shared those with me, and it means a lot. So big thank you to him, and what a cool family, and what a beautiful wife and kid you have, and how cool to be that dad that drives your kid down to Florida to watch a game. Wish it would have been a better performance for him, but it certainly seemed like he was having a great time meeting a lot of the players, and everyone was coming over because he had a sign saying it's my first game and it's my birthday. So that made my day, stuff like that. Good evening, The Holloway. Thanks for showing up. I always show up, Christian. Enjoy doing it. Gives me a reason to drink one of these, to be honest. I'm like, oh yeah, babe, I gotta, I do the whole thing where I drink it, so I got to put one of these down. Yeah, I'll be honest, Vincent, I don't like the whole disgusting thing. That's just like a Stephen A. Smith, and I'm not a fan of that. I was disgusted. Shut up. You're not out there getting your head caved in by a 330-pound guy. No reason to be disgusted. Team just played flat. Team forgot to get on the plane. Yeah, like I said, I think they looked like they just didn't have it today. I don't even know what to make with that. Harbaugh as a has-been. I mean, the team was 7-3 going into this. They had a chance to be 8-3 for the first time since 2018, and it was flat. No energy. I disagree with that, Mateo, that we played down to the competition. This year, that's fair. Last year, they won every game they were supposed to win. This year's been a little bit different. And like I said, it's been these 10 a.m. games. It's been very strange. But, if you say you play down to the competition, well, then you play up to the competition because you beat the Broncos, you beat the Chiefs. So it's been a tough go. You beat the snot out of the Steelers, who came in having just knocked off the Colts in first place. So, what else? That was rough. Haven't watched the game yet. I wouldn't watch it 0 dark 30. I don't think there's any reason. Disley, Fisk, and Matlock. Yeah, there was that one play where Aronde was asked to take on Walker, and it's just not a fair fight. Walker's like 280 pounds. He's got the wingspan of a pterodactyl, and he's just incredibly athletic. So, hey, Catesie's here. I don't know if you're still here, Cates. What's happening? This is bad. I feel for Justin and the team. Want him to get one stinking ring. Yeah, I think there's still an opportunity for that. Like I said, I don't think the AFC is that. I don't think there's a buzzsaw in there. So if they can get this thing figured out, get healthy over the bye, try to get this offensive line right. Omarion, let's not forget what Omarion looked like, man. Because I don't. What Omarion was doing in that Giants game was a glimpse of what was to come. And you get him back, he's a guy that can make things happen. Like, however you want to block it up or whatever, that dude, as my man Lowe likes to say, if he's even, he's leaving. He's that fast. He's that strong. Think about that backpack ride in New York that he gave 3 different Giants for 18 yards. Like, that's a huge game changer to get him back, and he should be back for that Raider game. So I'm anxious to see. And that's now all of a sudden play action. Guys are honoring it a lot more. Just want to see more of those quick throws, man. I thought they worked so well in Pittsburgh, and we had the one quick one to Trey, and it went for like 6 yards, and then we never saw it again. Make their corners tackle. Force their corners to tackle, as opposed to asking your O-line to block defensive ends for 3 seconds. It's just my idea. I don't know. What time do we get in? I don't know. It's, 10 o'clock now? By the time I think, probably got out of the facility at like 9. Got out of the facility at like maybe 8. No, got out of the facility probably like 8:15. So I had to give DJ a ride back to meet up with his wife, and because he flew out on his own after watching his son's playoff team get a win on Friday night. Love that. Colts. The Colts loss definitely wasn't this bad, Kid Biggs. The Colts loss, remember, they came out of the half humming, scored that touchdown. We're like, all right, here we go. Right back in this thing. And then, of course, they gave up the kickoff return. But, like, there was some fight in there. I mean, Herbert threw for 400 yards in that game. Like, this one, like I said, I think it's probably the worst game I've seen. Herbert was 81 yards and an interception. They had 6 first downs. Like, the Colts game, they had 25 first downs in that game. Defense just didn't play well. But the offense, played great, or played well enough. Powers be start looking to start that. I don't even know what that. When did the powers that be start looking to start all over? I don't even know what that means. Like, start all over with what? It's a team that won 11 games last year, that if Alton Slater were healthy this year, I think is a legitimate Super Bowl contender. They're just beat to hell. And I think, again, 4 preseason games, starting training camp 3 weeks early, traveling to Brazil. Every other week you're at a 10 a.m. start on the East Coast, New York, Washington home, Miami, home, Thursday home, Tennessee, home, Pittsburgh, Jacksonville. Like, it's not easy, man. Hopefully, Apo Taco, I gave you some things to be excited about. Just get these 2 weeks, man, and then get back to it. Yes, the O-line gave up a bunch of pressures again. Let's see. Good thing we got a bye week. I agree with that. Yeah, 4 offensive yards in the third quarter. Well, Kid Vicks, like, it was 13:07 to 1 minute. What was it? 13:06 to a minute 54. That was the time of possession in the third quarter. Should Herbert be calling out his O-line? He won't do it publicly. He may be doing it privately, but he wouldn't do it publicly. Bye week, get healthy, refocus, come back. There you go. Session's over, dude. Need linemen. Look, linemen are hard to come by, man. I appreciate that they put Penning out there and they're giving it a try. I think these 2 weeks, give you an opportunity to try to get those right 5. Burn the tape. I agree. Cohen got the better of him. Can't argue with that. Just to give you a heads up, I'm not going to read the comments about you wanting to fire people. Like, I don't like firing people. It's not what I'm in the business of doing. Hard to scheme when you don't control the line of scrimmage. Yeah, on both sides of the ball, for that matter. Offense couldn't do anything in the second half. Couldn't step onto the field. Exactly. 13, like I said, 13 minutes to 2 minutes. Yeah, right. Hard to believe the same team that beat the Steelers. That's what's so weird about the NFL, right? Think about the Packers. Packers lost to the Panthers. it's just, and now look, the Panthers won today. I think they're only a game out now of the first, but just games like that happen. The Packers lost to the Browns and the Panthers. They're supposed to be one of the favorites in the NFC. Worst year to get hit with these injuries, AFC being wide open. Yeah, but I think I still think there's an opportunity. I really do. I still think that it can be the same team that beat Kansas City, that beat Denver, that beat Pittsburgh, that can get into the tournament. I just think I'd be a little more concerned if the team looked really good and like we're playing and they just couldn't keep up with Jacksonville. I'd be a little more concerned. I just thought they looked flat, man. I really do. And I don't know, if you guys want to just try to figure out who to blame, pick somebody and blame them. But I just felt like I just didn't get the sense that they were, I don't know. It's just a weird game. That's all. It's just a weird game. Yeah, everyone was slow. Bolt gang. That's a great way to put it. It's just slow. Firm said it was one of the worst I've seen. Or blah, blah, blah. Every team with the West Coast. Yeah, I'm not saying they don't have to deal with these 10 a.m. games. I'm just saying that it's a team that looked tired. That's all. So whatever you want to blame them being tired on, you can. For me, that's sort of it. I just think when you don't have your bye until week 12, and you had to go to Brazil, and you had to play an extra preseason game, and it's not like these things are clumped together. It's like every other week you've got one of these. Just feels like it finally warmed down. Not using it as an excuse to say, hey, take it easy on them. It's okay. No, you still have to win games, but they're still 7-4. Like I said, 10 will probably get you in. 10 will probably get you the 7 seed. 11, I think you've got a shot at the 5. And if you get the 5, are you really that concerned about the Ravens or the Steelers? If that's who it is, are you really that concerned about, I don't know, even if it's like the Patriots, as well as they're playing, they've had such a cake schedule. Like there truly is no team that I'd be like, outside of, like I said, maybe the Colts with Jonathan Taylor and the way he was running the ball and how badly they made it look, how easy they made it look, I should say. Outside of that, I still, if this is week 15, and all of a sudden they picked up their 6th loss, then okay. But I just think you guys are overreacting. I think some of you are overreacting a little bit. It sucked. Don't get me wrong. It sucked. 8-3 is a huge win. And you feel like you've essentially punched your ticket into the playoffs. Now it feels like they got some work to do. What else? Brutal game. Need the bye. Figure this out. Teams cooked. Well, defense certainly was able to counter last week, JD. Defense was humming last week. Defense was humming. Going into this game, they averaged 8.6 points per game allowed the last 3. So I don't know if you could say no defense. They just had a bad game. Last 4 weeks of the season are all 10 a.m. games. I think they're going to move those. There's no way that Kansas City game kicks off in the early window. That thing's going to go at 1 o'clock. So I think the Chargers will win. They'll beat Vegas. So they'll have their 8th win. See, maybe they can figure out a way to beat Philly. And Kansas City's not going to be out of it. They got Mahomes. They'll figure something out. So that thing's going to get pushed to 125. Dallas, it's Dallas. And if the Chargers are winning, they may push that to the later window. So I hope at least, because, man, 10 a.m. is a problem. Defense was gassed. Yeah, the defense was gassed. Bye at a good time. So glad our bias this week. Yep, I agree. Need to win against Vegas, Dallas. Yeah, I agree. Those are the must-win games, fam. Vegas, Dallas, and Houston are must-win. And then can you find one in there between Philly, KC, and Denver? That gets you to 11. And I think there's a guarantee that you're going to be either the 5 or the 6. Yeah, their O-line was not good coming into this one. You're right about that. Dan Gill, maybe that's what I'm going to go with. Is your name? Yeah, Walker Little has been terrible this year, and they gave up no sacks. It's just hard to figure out. See, Raiders and Cowboys went crazy. They have traveled the most out of anybody. Yeah, it's always going to be a West Coast team, Sanawi. It's always going to be the Chargers, Raiders, 49ers, or Seahawks. One of those four teams is always going to have the most miles. Just because you're either going to play, east, north, or south, and you might get both. Like this year we had the AFC South and the NFC East. So just had a ton of travel. And Brazil, of course, didn't help. Minter needs to blitz. What's the question? Weber thrives. Play calling isn't the issue. Casual take for sure. I don't know what you're asking me. Are you asking me if the play calling is an issue? I mean, look, are there plays that I'd like to see him run more of? Sure. But I just thought the players were flat. So I think you can call it. I mean, think about like when they had that last push to like everyone who's complaining about the O-line or complaining about Greg Roman's play calling, right? It's like, okay, if they're going to make a comeback here, right now it's got to start and they need an explosive. And what happens? The O-line blocks it up perfectly. Herbert's got all day in the pocket. McConkey's wide open 40 yards down the field, and he airmails it. And it's a pick, and the game's over. So it's like that was schemed up right. That was blocked well. And one of the 3 or 4 best quarterbacks in the league just had a slip up and airmailed it. And that was that. I thought that he walked into a couple sacks today. But that doesn't mean I'm going to put this on Herbert and say he's the reason they lost. No, it was a collective effort. And I thought last week, Greg Roman called a great game. I thought he couldn't have called a better game last week, the way he had that thing schemed up. So, that's the thing is you can overreact over one game or, because you got to remember Tennessee, they scored 27 points and Justin throws a pick six and they have a punt return for a touchdown. If that's not as close of a game, he can really start getting loose with it in the Tennessee game as well. They scored 37 points in the Minnesota game. It's not like there haven't been good games out there, and that he hasn't been scheming it up. So every time he has a bad game, you're going to be like, Greg Roman sucks, fire him. Okay, well, what about the games that he's calling well? The Chiefs game was fantastic to open the season. That thing was schemed up really well. There's some that go better than others. So, yeah, I'm not avoiding it. I'm just saying I just don't like the overreaction from one game when last week I thought Greg Roman called a fantastic game. So, yeah, it's like it's I get it. You're frustrated. They lost. But the idea of fire Greg Roman, he's had some good games this year. Trevor Penning sucks. It's his first game. It's an O-line. The guy's still trying to figure out what the hell he's supposed to be doing. There's no Slater. There's no Alt. Mekhi Becton's hurt every game. I just think there's things that they have to overcome. And at some point, just chalk it up to a bad loss. Yeah, it sucks. It would have been great to win this game and be 8-3 going into the bye. They just didn't have it. They just did not have it. Yeah, physicality. I agree, King Boy. Yeah, I thought defensively, I was very surprised that that's what it looked like. I thought they were going to get after him. It was an offensive line that's susceptible to power, and that's something that Thule and Khalil Mack do really well. And I think what happened is that run game got going. And once the run game got going, man, and that goes to show you why you need a run game, because once you can get a defense on their heels, it changes everything. They are not coming. And the way they were setting the edges just didn't feel right. They weren't executing the way they should have executed against those tight ends, and how you're just trying to crash or you're trying to force it outside, and instead they're just getting upfield and they're getting gashed. It was just weird. That's all I can say. I mean, these guys know how to play it. It was just weird. Yeah, I disagree, fam. I think the idea that you're calling for somebody else to call plays is just not with how well things. Herbert's thrown for the most. Herbert was your leading passer, third most touchdowns, with his 6th and 7th tackles out there, and they're still able to put up a bunch of points on the board. So, Dominate the Steelers. It's harsh. Yeah, don't. Got the bye. Knock on wood, playoff bound. First time I saw Herbert get folded. Kickers played well. Rough all around. Need this bye. J.K. Scott and Dean Leonard were solid. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you're right. You know what? That is one thing I would say, kid, is I think they need to figure something out on returns, on kick returns. They got to find someone, or just, I feel like that's got to be a little more buttoned up. Take the knee, man. They brought that ball to the end zone 3 different times and started drives at the 25. Take the knee, get to the 35. Like, to me, that's just automatic. If you catch that ball in the end zone, you take a knee immediately. Fly to the East Coast on Tuesday. Oh, I see what you're saying, to give yourself more time to adjust. Yeah, I mean, we're going out on Fridays, and we went out earlier this time. We had been leaving a little bit later, like 2 or 3 in the afternoon, and getting in at like 10. This time we left at like 12:30. We went wheels up. Sorry, I'll be on it. I've been up since 3:30 your time, Pacific time. This time we ended up getting in at like 8. And so I think they had hoped that might work, and it just didn't. All right, let's see what else. Oh, am I at the end? No, I'm not at the end. Thoughts on why Andre James isn't getting a shot? Yeah, I think it's just practice, Bolt Gang. I think they say that, look, that's what got Oronde Gadsden in, and Will Dissly to be a healthy scratch. That's what got Mickens in and Tony Jefferson to be a healthy scratch, because they felt like those guys were playing better in practice. And so I think if Andre James is given an opportunity to outplay Bradley in practice, then you should play him. But I don't know if that's what's happening. So 3D line, run with 2 most of the time. Yeah, I agree with that, Omar. I like the heavier front. I do. How was defense? Why did they lose on 3rd down? Yeah, I don't know, Eddie or Edney. I thought it was pretty frustrating. I thought they were, 3rd and 17, they get 22. 3rd and 5, they get 8. 3rd and 3, they get 5. And guys are just wide open. There's just too much cushion out there. I don't want the Raiders game to tell me anything, Callie. I want them to win the Raiders game. That's all I'm saying. Team came off a dud after the Pittsburgh game. Yeah, and look, the Pittsburgh game was still pretty physical. So maybe they're just beat up and tired. Cheers to you, RC Handler or Arch Handler. How impressed am I with the Broncos? The defense is insane. I think the offense can be had. But defense is incredible. And look, they're winning games. Almost done. Almost done with that one. Andre James needs a shot. All losses look a little similar. Scheme up easier yards. PI calls against Tarheeb and Molden. Yeah, Molden was a little touchy, but you could see on the flip side he got the hook in there right around him, where he kind of like twisted his body, but I thought that thing was uncatchable. No pass rush. Yeah, it was weird. Last week they had a monster pass rush. Today, same guys against a much worse offensive line. Didn't happen. I think they're going to draft a lot of linemen. Let's see, Brett, we ran zone all game, didn't make any adjustments. And then when we would run man, they just would pound the rock on us. It was kind of funny. They just kept running the same play. It was just a counter. They kept running over and over and over again between the tackles. CMR BJ's right on, Nathan. Yeah, 1 to 3 tomorrow, folks. BJ's in Irvine if you want to come out. Commit to the run with Hampton back. I agree. Happy birthday, Sullivan. Very cool of you to logged on late. Wife wants to know what you're drinking tonight. I'll just leave it at this. I'm drinking this. That's what I'm drinking. I think it's mirrored, so you probably can't see it. It's called Breeze, and I like it. No, you're the best, VMR. JK was good today. He was. Was it a look-ahead game today? I don't think so. I just think they're ready for the bye, man. I think they were. I guess that would be a look-ahead, right? They were looking ahead to the bye. Just get me out of here. Let me get rested, recharge my batteries, get my body to feel right again. Looked bad. Flat like the earth. MASH unit. Love the sweater. Yeah, this is my favorite one. These are like the team-issued ones that we travel in. So this is my favorite one that we had. It's a Nike I think it's a Nike. Yeah, it's a Nike. But it's a little heavier. It's just a super comfy. Super comfy. I got my Battle of the Planets t-shirt on. For those of you that are old like me and remember it. Greatest cartoon ever. Chargers going nowhere. As bad as who hasn't laid an egg this year. Like I said, yes, every team. Hey, how about the Bills last week? The Bills were dead to rights. They lost in Miami. They were like, this team is cooked. They missed their window. They blew it. Look at the Patriots now. I'd slow down on that. I would most definitely slow down on that. Let's see what happens in New England, if they can do that again, or if the Bills go in there and run a buzzsaw on them, because that wouldn't surprise me. I could be wrong, but I just think it's such a, there's one game a week, so everybody overreacts to everything. I think it's like, look at the Panthers. Oh, we thought the Panthers had a shot, and then they laid an egg against the Saints, and the Saints are terrible. And then they go out, knock out the Falcons, and they're one game out of winning the NFC South right now. So it's just, the NFL's tough, man. Get healthy. I don't think they'll push Penning to guard. I think they'll keep him at tackle. I'll have to go back and watch the tape. I thought the one sack, like I said, I thought Justin ran into it, the one sack he gave up. Let's see, Chargers going to make the O-line right this season. Well, they're just going to have to get guys to play better. And that's it, horseface. It's not like you're going out and signing anybody. Yeah, big win for the Bears, Chad. Ben Johnson's doing great stuff there. Team needs a break. Kansas City. Do I think Kansas City's not going to make the playoffs? I think that's crazy to say, but I'll tell you, man, they do not have an easy schedule. They got the Colts coming up now. Colts, Dallas, Houston. Oh, actually, you know what? They're all right. So they got 5 losses right now. Indy, Dallas, Houston, Chargers, Tennessee, Denver at home, Vegas there. Can you see 2 losses on there? That would put them at 10-7. Lose a tiebreaker to the Jaguars, who are now 6-4, and I can see them getting to 10 wins. So, tough one. I'm not counting them out, man. I think it's going to be a lot harder for them to get there. I mean, think about it, guys. The Chargers are 7-3 at the bye. The Chiefs are 5-5 right now. Could be so much worse. Let's see, get some rest. Oh, don't want that. Who are we expecting to get back in the next 2 weeks? Amari and Hampton. That's talking about a guy that I think if had he stayed healthy could have rushed for 1,300 yards this season. He's got that kind of talent. He's got that kind of talent. So if he's back and he's 100% healthy, that's a huge difference maker. What else? Hope, any beverages? Yep, I've been showing it off, so that was probably a while ago. Cheers. Good night, sir. Good night to you. No, they didn't take Penny out because he wasn't playing well. They took Penny out because they just wanted to give him a break. Chargers, Raiders, November 30th. I feel like the Chargers should win that game easily. I think they should, not that any game is easy. Games are always hard. I shouldn't have said that. Chargers should win that game. It's never easy. Glad the Chiefs lost. Herbert had time. Why couldn't wide receivers get open? It's just weird, man. Aloha, Matt. Chargers travel schedule, like when we have early East Coast games. No, they go on Friday, so they do go a day early. A lot of teams go on Saturday. Chargers leave Friday. Where at Smith, go Raiders. Yeah, much happier at 7-4 than at, what are they at, 2? They have 2 wins, I think, right? 2-7. Take 7-4 over 2-7. And they're 2 winning seasons since 2003. So I'm pretty good with where the Chargers are compared to the Raiders. Thank you for what you do. Thank you, Lucifer. I lost you, Lucifer. No, there you are. Need to keep 10 upright and healthy. Yep, keep them upright. I agree. They look tired. Today was humbling. Bye week at the right time. Team performs well when they're underdogs, not when they're favorites. believe the Roman hate is over the top. I agree. We can get to 10. Home game in the playoffs, probably going to have to go 12-5, I think. I'd say 12-5. Can only lose one more game, and that seems a little tough. Because, I mean, you've got you're talking about the Broncos, who are now 9-2. 9-2, and have Washington, Vegas, Jacksonville all still left on their schedule. So, I mean, that's 12 right there. I think they should win all of those games. They get Green Bay at home. I have not been that impressed with Green Bay this year. I think Broncos going to get it. Just, I think there were a couple games in here that they ended up winning. They very easily could have lost. Think about the Philly game. The Houston game, the Giants game was ridiculous, right? They scored 30 points in the fourth quarter. All right, let me see how many more of these I have. Oh, wow, there's a lot of you guys, and I want to try to get to all of you. Okay, so I'm going to go backwards. So if you guys want to stop making comments, I appreciate you all, but I'm just going to kind of scroll through and end it. Thanks for the live from Australia. Moshe Pei, appreciate you. Away games, East Coast, very ordinary. I agree. Opinion, why doesn't Roman adjust better schemes at halftime? I think a lot of it's just personnel. I think he's doing fine. I thought he called a great game last week. I mentioned that already. And this week just got away from everybody. UNP coming to HB anytime soon? I don't know, Gonzo. I know we are in Irvine tomorrow from 1 to 3. Herbert has so many batted balls. I think guys are just getting pushed up front. There's once those defensive linemen get that push and reset the line of scrimmage, it's easier for them to get their hands up and pop those things. It saddens me to think of what could have been had Alton Slater stayed healthy. It doesn't look anything like this. Marion's going to help a lot. I agree. Marion is going to help a lot. I don't think you're going to see a lot of KLS. I think the receivers are fine. Trey Harris is fantastic, and you're not going to carry 5 on game day. So I think that's just kind of the way the roster is structured. You're not carrying, because Darius Davis is technically a returner / wide receiver. So unless he's inactive and KLS is your return guy, I don't see that happening. I think you're carrying 5, not 6, I should say. I just think of Darius as a returner. So if he were to fill that, overreacting, everything's part of the fun. Very true. That is not a dead set list behind me. It is a Beastie Boys set list from September 13th, 2004 in Los Angeles. So it's their set list, autographed by the guys. Super cool. And personalized. To Matt. Peace. Appreciate that from the boys. The boys of Beastie. Bolt up, peeps. Come on. Could just be a great in-season team. I don't know, money. Broncos could get shocked at first play. Yeah, that I agree with, Nick, that the Broncos could lose that first playoff game. I'm just saying in terms of getting a home game for the Chargers in the playoffs would mean winning the division. And I feel like that means they're going to have to go 5-1 down the stretch because I think the Broncos are getting to 12. I think they can win 3 of those. They have 6 games left, and I think they can win 3 between the Chargers, Chiefs, Jaguars, Packers, Vegas, Washington. I think there's 3 wins on there. And that means, which is fine, it just means the Chargers have to go 5-1 to close the season. So if they can do that, then yeah, maybe. Minor setback, major comeback. Love it. Weird Cohen voice. Duval. I know, right? He's a good coach, though, man. I think he's going to do well there. All right, I think that's it at some point. So there we go. Last sip. My Breeze Drift is what I went with today. So there we go. Hopefully it starts kicking in because I got to get to bed. Appreciate y'all. You're awesome. Do it with Lowett on Wednesday. Do Chargers Weekly with Jaleel on Thursday, so be sure to check those out. Give me a chance to go through the film and kind of see what jumps out at me that I didn't see live. DJ's so good at seeing it all. I don't see it. Good night to all of you. Appreciate y'all. Sawgrass was wonderful. Thank you, Nate, for asking. It was incredible. I got called in as a sub, filling in for somebody that couldn't make it, and got to play one of the, 30 best courses in the world. Even though I'm not a great golfer, it was still awesome. But appreciate y'all, man. You're the best. And we'll do it again in 2 weeks. No Instagram Live for the bye, only for games. So everybody, happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy that day. If you're playing turkey bowls, don't blow a hammy. What else? Remember, if you're making the turkey, butter and salt. Just as much butter. When you lift up that skin, you get in there and I'm talking sticks, like at least 2 sticks of butter and just a ton of salt, man. That's what makes that bird so delicious. All right, everybody, enjoy the holiday. Enjoy the couple weeks. I'll miss y'all, but come back stronger than ever. You watch. They'll be 7-4 is not bad. Get to 11-6. Get back in the tournament and make a run. All right, everyone. Happy Thanksgiving. Moving forward. Enjoy your weekend. Thanks for checking it out.